So today, while I'm fortunate enough to be sat in an amazing place, I just switch the camera around. My little dogs are quite happy to be sat by the side of me. So I thought I'd spend just a few minutes talking about something I've been learning about quite a lot at the moment. And I've talked about it quite a bit in a couple of my other casts, but I thought I'd cover it a bit more deeply. But it's a very difficult one to actually explain. It's called our internal reference system. See, in NLP, people tend to say the map is not the territory, which I get. But what is the map? That's a very good question. So let's just try and picture on one experience. So say, for instance, I can remember when I came off my motorbike and I broke my tibia, not my fibula, in my ankle on ice in London. And I can remember where I was, the pain and what I was going through. Now, I had hundreds of motorcycle experiences while I was dispatch riding. But one of the ones I remember the most was actually coming off my dispatch bike and snapping my ankle. And it was at a particularly difficult time of my life as well, where I really needed money. So the last thing I needed was to break my ankle. And I managed to still, do a bit of work and get a bit of cash in my back pocket, but it wasn't an easy time. Now, that memory was actually put into my mind, and how that memory was formed as such was it memorized me where I was, and memorized what I was doing. It gave me the emotional attachment of how that actually made me feel, and it actually taught me a lot about, well, how would I put it? If you can hear the noise in the background, about a mile away from where I am, there's somebody using a chainsaw in the forest, so no matter where you are, there's usually somebody cutting something down. So I carry on. So how those memories are formed. So when we build these memories, my brain then goes back to a time where maybe I've broken something else, what I went through, and how I knew that it was broken, from the type of pain I was feeling, the way it made me feel, so on and so forth. If anybody's ever broken a bone, you feel clammy, you go into shock, you sometimes feel a bit sick, sometimes your sugar levels drop. So my major concern was I couldn't push the bike home, so the only way I could get home was to jump on the bike and ride it back. So even though I had a broken ankle, I had motorbike boots on, so I managed to press the back brake, because luckily it was on my right foot. I could change gears with my left, and I managed to get me and the bike down to a garage. And when I was at the garage, I then, from there, bought myself, I can remember it even today, a Snickers and I think a milkshake or a pint of milk. I can't remember what it was. And I got home. So the relevance is, to get to the point, Nick. Well, why would I remember all of those things, all of those finite details, where I had some amazing experiences, where I went to mansions, I went to Secret Service building to pick up packages, and I can't remember what I ate that day. I can't remember what I was wearing that day. I can't remember what the weather was like that day. But I can remember going there, because realistically there was an extremely shocking memory on that particular day. And it was burned into my brain. And obviously I was flooded with dopamine and pain receptors and lots of other experiences. So they engraved it into my brain, and I could remember intricate details of that experience. So we have this reference system, which is back there somewhere, which is like an amazing video recording of that moment. Now, there's most probably a lot of details which I've chosen to forget. Now, there's things that I remember that at a later date, that I remember I let my tyres down on my motorbike a bit, because it was a bit snowing and I had my 2 feet down on the floor, and I forgot the main reason why I actually fell was the front tyre came off the rim because I let too much pressure out. My own fault, something stupid I did. And as I went down the mountain, down this hill, and I turned, the front tyre went over the rim, the bike landed on my foot was trapped into the bike, and it popped my ankle over. And I thought I dislocated my ankle at first, but I realised I'd actually broken it just after that. I attempt to skim across a lot of details, and then if I think really deeply, what day was it, and was I meant to go into work the next day, and what happened, and so on and so forth. I can remember it was a Thursday. I was meant to go back into work on a Friday, and I couldn't go because I had this broken ankle. I had to take the day off from dispatch riding, and I was doing dispatch riding because I had RSI in my left arm, and I couldn't cut hair every day of the week, so I was trying to rest it by riding a bike. Yeah. So I can remember all these details. Think about how amazing that is. And I'm talking, right, I'm going back now. God, how long ago was it? It must be about 15 years ago that happened to me. Yeah. And I can still remember it like it was today. Yeah. Now, how I stored that memory and where it's stored and the feelings, the dynamics, none of it's real. It's just Nick's version of those events. Somebody else might have been rolling around on the floor and been in shock. Somebody else might have not realised they'd broken it, tried to put too much weight on it. Somebody else might have asked for the tow truck to come and pick the motorbike up because it's impossible. We all would have referenced that experience completely differently because we all might have done different things. So even though my tyre was off my rim on my motorbike and I had a broken ankle, I still managed to slowly ride the bike down the hill. Bloody crazy. And when I slowly rode the bike down the hill, I'd actually got to the garage. I managed to put air back in the tyre and get home and then phone for an ambulance, and they didn't believe that I actually broke my ankle. Now, all of this is playing in my mind like a movie. Can you see me going through it? It's like a movie. I'm referencing, my eyes are going in particular directions. Oh, I remember the ambulance come and pick me up. I remembered, yeah. And the feeling and what the guy said to me. I'm looking to the left and down across. These are all NLP references, how I store these memories. But is that memory real? Yes, it is real. It happened to me. Is it real in the context of what I went through? Well, I don't know, because I can only speak from my experience. I can only speak from my knowledge and what I was going through at the time. Did I taint it with emotion? Did I try to make it worse than it was? Did I try to make it better than it was by filtering out certain experiences? Was I in shock? Because I was in shock, did I filter out certain experiences while I was going through that? See, we got 5 senses. And our body's in overload of all of this information. And at that particular time, one of the things I was in overload was with pain in my ankle. So my other senses were, I was trying to work out logically how I could get to the hospital. I was trying to work out logically how I could cope with this pain, whether I'd actually broken my ankle, what I was going to do. I had really nice motorbike gear on, so I took my motorbike gear off because I know they just cut straight through it when you've got a broken ankle. I got into some jeans, got into some warm clothes, ate something when I got home. I was going through this process while I was waiting for the ambulance to come. It was snow and ice everywhere, so the ambulance had a bit of a nightmare getting to me. Loads of people had fallen over, broken stuff. When I got out to the hospital, I had hardly any money on me. I had just about enough to get a bus home, so I had to go on crutches with a freshly broken ankle to get a bus home. It was a bloody nightmare, right? So, but as I was going through all of these experiences, I was referencing them and filtering them through my view of what was going on. And I could have seen that experience so many different ways. See, this is how we see everything in our life. Because all of our emotions, we go into one place and our body then tries to work out what we actually need from this situation, how much of this information we need to keep, and how we can reference to past experiences. If there is no past experience, then it then goes back to what we're experiencing and tries to create a new memory from that experience. So we don't actually see the world through all of our 5 senses completely, unless you're a yogi or a Buddhist master that does deep meditation all of the time, and they can really tune into these 5 senses and utilize them to their best potential. we've always got just a percentage of what's really going on, so we can filter out a lot of detail. Kind of lucky we do, because if we didn't, it would be quite difficult to cope with the amount of information coming in. But that also means we can reset these memories. And that's what I'm going to be doing with my hypnosis and my life coaching and on my personal development. And that's what I want to be doing to help people. There's my girl digging in the background. What are you digging for, Thelma? You're just digging for the sake of digging, are you? Digging for the sake of digging? Huh? So, these dogs are waiting for me to get going. So what I'm going to do is keep walking with them. But I just want to say, this is what I'm going to be doing on my page. And this is what I'm going to be finishing off. I'm going to be doing some more hypnotherapy courses. I've been doing a hell of a lot on that for the last 5 or 6 years, studying it in depth. I was able to do hypnosis on people many times in the past without even training in it. It's something I've always been. It's one of those taboo subjects, something I'm really excited about becoming a master in. And maybe they're going to have to travel to places and do courses. So I'm going to have to get money together. I might have to sell a load of my stuff to do that. But whatever I have to do, I'm going to get myself to the point where I can actually develop. So I want to say to you guys, nothing is impossible. Everything's possible. It's just putting your mind to it. And every experience you have, you can change. You have the empowerment to do that. And on that note, there's a beautiful bit of sunshine coming up through those trees. Oh, she knows I'm about to move. Thelma's waiting for me. The boys are waiting for me. And I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I hope you enjoyed this cast today.